Acropolis is now their home, just as Wakanda is mine. And we shall protect our homes at any cost.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think that the astral plane may be a bit too much out of the Avengers' comfort zone, but still, given that this is a fully original universe, anything could possibly happen. Anyways, welcome back, true believers and all you merry Marvelites, to another very exciting Avengers project related video. Now, given what we know about this game already, Marvel's Avengers is going to be receiving continuous updates from Crystal, Square, Eidos, and Marvel Games even after its main launch of May 15th, 2020. Not only that, but gamers will apparently be able to play within this game's universe for years to come, including a bunch of new additions with free heroes and regions at no additional cost. And in case you missed it already, I did actually do a video previously discussing which top 5 superheroes I would like to personally see be featured within this game either at launch or somewhere down the line. But this time around, we're actually going to be discussing one of the main features that some people are still a little bit confused about relating to what type of game this is actually going to be. And knowing that we only have one official location revealed so far with that of San Francisco, it is very fun to speculate as to where the other locations could be that we can explore within this game. So yes, I'm going to be breaking down the top 5 regions I would personally love to see be featured within Marvel's Avengers. Now, to fully clarify for anyone who is still confused about this game before we officially start the list, is that this game is not a free roam game, but instead, given what the developers have said in the past, is that this game will feature a multitude of hub worlds for you to explore. So instead of having one massive open world for you to explore like that of Spider-Man PS4, there are going to be different areas that you can look into which do surround the entirety of the Marvel Universe. And even though we don't know the full extent as to how these hub worlds are going to operate within this game, I still believe there are going to be a huge variety of places to look into that Marvel fans will completely love. Plus, knowing that each new region could possibly relate to the newer characters that are added within the roster down the line makes it that much more exciting. And based off the intro that you saw of this video, you can definitely see where I'm coming from, which of course I'm relating to the one and only home of the Black Panther with that of Wakanda. If you're going to be making a AAA Avengers game, it makes absolute sense to include one of its most iconic members with that of Black Panther, and even more so his main homeland of that of Wakanda. Once again, the developers did say that you can explore each of these hub worlds to either activate some of the single player missions related to the game's main campaign or go and find the co-op missions to team up with your friends. And based off of the highly advanced and complex architecture of that of the Wakandan cities as well as the main Wakandan jungle, I definitely think there will be a lot of variety to explore within this specific region. Especially if this means that Black Panther is playable within this game, I can definitely see him do some very acrobatic stealth takedowns within the trees above and climb up some building structures to get to a specific vantage point. And just imagining you and your friends teaming up as the Avengers to take down a plethora of enemies within the Wakandan area would just be a dream come true for hardcore Marvel fans. But given how popular the character is, I can almost say for sure that he is going to be featured one way or another within this game down the line. Now, next up on the list is actually a region that I do believe we have already seen within the game briefly within the Ant-Man trailer and in small clips within the behind closed doors footage. Plus, knowing that there's going to be a wider variety of enemies to be fighting within this game's main story, I do believe that the connectivity that it could have with the Avengers main plot will definitely make sense in the long run. And alongside of all this, it also pertains to the main headquarters of one of the most notorious villains within the Marvel Universe, of that of AIM. And if you don't know by now, I'm mainly referring to the main island of Barbuda, also known as AIM Island. So again, I do believe we have already received a small indication of AIM's involvement within this game of the black and yellow drones possibly sent to take out the Avengers within this game's story. And based off the behind closed doors footage that was showcased for Iron Man within the Avengers project, it did look like he was infiltrating some type of fortress while fighting a bunch of armored soldiers. And even though there are other possible outcomes to what an armored fortress could be within this game's universe, like that of possibly Latveria or the Raft, I still think that AIM is a highly likely possibility. Given the complex structure of AIM Island in general, as well as all the security measures that they do have as well, I think it could be a really good challenge for the Avengers to take on within this game as a whole. And just knowing that one specific region to explore could also operate as one giant enemy for the Avengers to take on would be a very cool thing to see play out. So depending on whether or not you're tackling some of the enemies within this game either in a single player setting or a co-op fashion, I do really hope that the challenge that each region provides is a really well thought out one, to say the least. So as we reach to the midpoint of this list actually relates to a location that directly applies to one of the already revealed Avengers characters, with that of Thor. And even though this specific location is far away from Earth as it could possibly be, I still believe that this would be a very beautiful place to explore in a AAA setting. And as you've probably guessed by now, I'm mainly referring to the one and only Asgard. So with the primary implication of Asgard possibly being featured within this game definitely relates to also the possible villain that we could see in this game as well, with that of Loki. Now, as a little bit of background history, the developers did say that this iteration of the Avengers have been together for quite a while now, but we still don't know the full extent as to how much they have faced in the past and which types of places they have been previously. So even though the Avengers are well accustomed with each other, mainly with the main Avenger at hand with that of Thor, we don't know if they have actually visited Asgard as a team in the past. And for me personally, even though it would make the team more experienced if they have gone there before, I think it would be cool to actually see the team's first time visiting Asgard as a whole within this game's story. Now, as for what specific story purpose could relate to them actually going to Asgard, I have absolutely no idea, but I still think them actually exploring the entirety of this mythological land will be a very cool thing to see within a AAA realm. Not to mention that exploring regions like that of Wakanda and Asgard within this game's universe will be a very interesting take to see how it differs from the main incarnations of that within the MCU. And given that this is a completely new Avengers story, I definitely think that would help expand this overall original universe. And speaking of original universes, it's definitely one of the next locations on this list which would fully connect the entirety of the previous Marvel games. Knowing that the PlayStation 4 owners for this game will in fact receive some exclusive benefits that will be revealed down the line makes me very excited to see what could possibly be unveiled in the future. With the early beta access already being a huge grab for the main PS4 owners who have already pre-ordered this game, they could go even further by adding the unthinkable. And as you should know by now, I'm mainly referring to the possibility of Marvel's Avengers and Marvel's Spider-Man on the PS4 possibly being connected within one singular universe. However, what would make this even better is that if they added not only Spider-Man but the main region that goes along with him, with that of New York City. The Avengers already do exist within Spider-Man PS4's version of New York, given the massive tower that we do see in the middle of Manhattan. But the main question is whether or not this is the same exact Avengers that we do see in the Avengers project as of right now. So, with my ideal version of this game in mind, I do believe that they are both connected within the same world, and that the Avengers will possibly be able to explore some areas within New York as a massive region. This would make a whole lot of sense for Spider-Man to actually be playable within this game's world if New York is actually one of the main locations that we can explore at some point during the game's story. In some of the behind closed doors footage, we did actually see a clip of Black Widow fighting some thugs in the street with a giant baton staff. However, in that particular case, I do believe that the streets that she was fighting in was actually San Francisco instead of NYC. Still, with that one small clip of Black Widow actually fighting some thugs on street level, I do think it would be very easy for them to implement a small district from New York to be playable within the Avengers project. And whether or not that turns out to be Uptown, Downtown, Midtown, Hell's Kitchen, Central Park, Times Square, or whatever, I think any part of New York within this game would just look flat out awesome. And just having Insomniac's Spider-Man team up with Crystal Dynamics' Avengers all in the same exact setting would just be a dream come true. Now, even though you would think that I would save New York as the last location on this list to end it off with Spider-Man, there actually is another place that I think would work really interesting in a very cool way. Now, even though I'm not exactly sure as to where they could take place within this specific region, I still think having some aspect of it be explorable in some way with the Avengers in general would be a very cool and ambitious thing to do. Plus, we did see one small glimpse of it during the very end of the A-Day trailer where Iron Man was actually trying to possibly fix a space station satellite. And even though I have no idea how Marvel, Crystal, Square, or Eidos could possibly begin to feature this within the game, I still think being able to explore space would be a very cool thing to do within the Avengers project. Given that Tony is actually wearing his spacesuit instead of that of his standard Iron Man armor, it makes me wonder how much of an impact the space sequence of this game is going to have. It could simply just be one cool mission and set piece of Iron Man flying around in space to try and fix something, or it could lead to an explorable area. As I said previously, it could be some sort of a massive space station that could be the primary area that the Avengers could explore and look around as the main hub world. And just imagining being able to do single player and co-op missions in space with the Avengers would just be absolutely crazy. Although you do have to get around the problem as to how the characters are actually going to be able to maneuver and breathe in space space, given that the main character that can only do so as of right now is Thor and Iron Man. But in the end, I definitely think the numerous amount of locations, areas, and regions that we will be able to dive into within this game's world will definitely give it a much more immersive experience. So fingers crossed that we will get a lot of areas to explore within the main launch of the game on May 15th, 2020, and still have even more areas to explore in the years to come. And with all that said, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What did you think of my list for the top 5 regions that should be featured within the Avengers project, and please let me know your specific top 5 list as well. If I had to choose one specific location on this list, even though New York City with a playable version of Insomniac's Spider-Man would just be amazing, I am very curious to see how space would operate within this game's world. Not to mention that if space does turn out to be an explorable locale within this game, that could also relate to the many aliens that are within the Marvel Universe, like that of the Skrulls or the Kree. But regardless, I'm just very excited to see what Crystal, Square, Eidos, and Marvel actually have up their sleeves. And until next time, everyone, thank you all so much for watching, stay merry Marvelites, and peace out.
The fine people of New York deserve better.
My uncle once said, with great power, there must also come great responsibility. Maybe this is just his way of growing into the hero he wants to be. And from what I've seen, the people seem to be A-okay with that.